Welcome back to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for staying with us. Well, as Northern Nevada's population grows, local governments have had to deal with some growing pains, particularly a strain on services before more funding comes in to pay for the increased need. Now, many of those governments are turning to changes in the property tax as one solution. So I'm back with Ron Smith, Mayor-elect of the City of Sparks. Ron, thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right, so a lot of the public funding that funds city governments is property taxes.
Right.
And many local leaders are coming forward saying our property tax system needs an overhaul because the funding formula just doesn't work with everything we need to pay for.
Right.
Do you feel that way?
I agree with that. You know, on sale, we feel that it should reset. Now, the argument is it's going to raise the taxes on seniors or anybody. It doesn't raise, like I'm a senior, it won't raise my taxes one bit until I sell my house.
Right.
And then if I bought another house, that's when the tax increase. But I know one of the candidates for assessor was putting out there it's going to raise your taxes $6,000. That's just not true. The cities get their net worth from property taxes. That's our biggest income. The city of Sparks, whom I can speak for, we have a $4.5 million abatement. That abatement is taxes we don't get because of the tax increase. Part of the problem with it is there was no bottom. It could go down as low as they wanted, but they could only go up 3%. And I believe last year, taxes only went up 0.002. You know, it's going to take the cities 25 years to recoup that money, that loss. $4.5 million for Sparks would buy a lot of police officers and firefighters. And that's one of our biggest issues, that we're so shorthanded on both of those groups. So I am surely in favor of that. And the argument's going to be that it's raising the taxes. That's just not true unless you sell your house. I tell my wife I'm dying in my house. That's all there is to it.
I think it is an important distinction to make because this does get discussed a lot. This is a specific proposal that's going through the legislature in the next session that would raise property taxes on home purchases. So everyone who is in a home now gets grandfathered in at their current rate. It kicks in if you sell your home and buy a new one or buy a new one for the first time. Then you're
that's already in place. You're paying the higher taxes on the new house right now.
Right, but I mean, if you buy a home that is new to you, just a different home.
Oh, right now.
Under the proposal is what I'm saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, basically, because I think there is a lot of fear that people are going to get kind of bait and switched on, you know, this is what I agreed to, and this is what I can afford when I bought this home, knowing this would be my payment. And that's not what's happening. It's a very different proposal.
Yeah, but it's straightforward.
Right.
It tells you like it is, and if you don't sell your house payment will not go up because of taxes.
Okay, so we'll see what happens in the legislature. Now, in that same vein, obviously, there's actually a ballot measure coming up in Washoe County that also deals with taxes and a tax increase. This one is specifically earmarked for the flood project, and you've talked about this before as a project that's near and dear to your heart. So, make your case. Why should voters approve on the ballot a tax increase to pay for the flood project?
Well, Sparks is the biggest recipient of the floodwaters. We have the most to lose with the industrial center, so I can talk about Sparks, and Reno's included in this, but if we have another flood like in 1997, that's why the Flood Authority was put together, and that's two people from Sparks, Reno, and the county. We have full authority to put fees in place, but we wanted to put it to a ballot question. If it passes, and I'll get to the bottom line here, but if it passes, it will cost a homeowner $20 to $24 a year. That's $2 a month for flood protection. If it floods again like it did in 1997, we will lose all of those businesses in the industrial center. They won't come back because you're talking $1 billion worth of damage over there, and we can't keep them, you know, being flooded and starting over again. So the citizens of Sparks stepped up to the plate in 2008. They've been paying $5.41 a month on their sewer bill to pay for the North Truckee Drain, which we just completed a couple weeks ago. That lowers the flood level in that area by a foot. That's a big deal. The citizens of Sparks are the only ones that have paid for an element of the flood project. No other entity has. So for the citizens of Sparks, I'll tell you, if you vote for this, the citizens of Sparks will get a $21 million rebate that we can apply to their sewer rates until it's gone. We'll also get $180 million of federal money. If it doesn't pass, that money goes away. This is the only opportunity we'll have to do this. So I would urge everybody, if you think about it, if it floods in the industrial center, there's 25,000 jobs there. 60% of those live in Reno. If you live in Incline Village and it floods here and the airport is flooded, you can't get to the airport. You can't get through the streets. You can't do business. And that's one of the things we look at as business loss. If you can't get to their business, to the casinos downtown in Reno, that's part of flood loss.
Yeah, because the river is really, I mean, that's largely what floods, and then what surrounds the river is often kind of our economic core,
right?
Because that's the way the city, built out is from the river out. So that makes sense. Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit because we don't have a ton of time, but
okay.
I want to talk about growth a little bit because obviously it's huge, and we're seeing some pushback from residents who live in the more like rural interface areas, some in Sparks, some in Reno, some in non-designated Washoe County. And when there are development projects proposed for their neighborhoods, they fight it, they don't want it. But we're, on the other hand, hearing from other people, especially in government, that we need infill, we need more homes, we need more development because of all the people coming in. So where do you fall on that spectrum, and what do you have to say to concerned residents about that?
It always amazes me when somebody moves in. Let's say they move in from California and they buy a house in Reno or Sparks. As soon as they get in there, they don't want anybody else coming in. They're done with it. They're anti-growth. Growth is the lifeblood of the cities. It really is. And Sparks is the tip of the spear for the Teslas and the Switches and the Apples and all those people who come in. 50,000 jobs. That's the truth. That's what's happening. And we need places to live, eat at restaurants, recreate. We need all of that stuff. So growth is an important part. I believe in growth. It's got to be smart. It can't be all over the place, a random here, random there. And I think we do a pretty good job at that. I mean, we finally developing in downtown Sparks. We've been trying to do that since I was elected and way before I got here. And we're finally doing it.
Yeah, and that is the kind of growth that most people are saying we need. It's the higher density buildings, building up rather than out in areas where there's already the infrastructure to support it. But what about the projects like the Vistas, for example, which that's a controversial one where they want to build kind of like, I think it's condos in that neighborhood, and they're fighting it.
It's townhouses. They're fighting it, and that's a good example of not wanting anything else to come in. It's always been zoned for that. And I can't say too much about it because I will be voting on that on Monday. But you're looking at a product that is a 1,600 square foot house with a 2-car garage. It's not a condo. That's not an apartment. So I get their arguments, and I have some of the same concerns that they have, and we'll deal with that on Monday.
Okay. Now, quickly, we touched a little bit on police and fire and how they're already spread a little bit thin. You have an automatic aid agreement, or you as in Sparks has an automatic aid agreement with Truckee Meadows, the Washoe County arm of it, but not with Reno. Regionalization has been a conversation. What's your vision, just really quickly, about what our fire service should look like regionally?
Sparks wants their own fire service. We don't want to be consolidated, because what will happen is now our fire department will be controlled by Reno or the county. We want to control our fire department, and our fire department is top of the line. They're very good, and we've always been against consolidation. We do a lot of consolidations on services with the county in Reno, which makes sense. But as far as consolidating government or any of our agencies like police and fire, we are not in favor of that. If you lived in Sparks and a bunch of your neighbors got together and said, we want to consolidate, I changed my mind. But I work for you guys. So they do not want consolidation, and I'll stay on that, and I think the rest of the council will also. Okay,
so then would you be in favor of universal automatic aid? Like everyone helping everyone else automatically?
Well, I am in favor of that. The problem is, and we can see that now because we have automatic aid with the county, they're supplying us a lot, not more than we supply them, just because of their stations.
Right. Yeah.
And we got to figure a way to make that more equitable. Okay,
well, we have just about 30 seconds left. So do you have a final message about what you want the people of Sparks to know?
Well, I want the people of Sparks to know that they are in good hands, that the Sparks City Council gets things done. We're not afraid to make decisions, and we think about these decisions. And a lot of times people think because there's 100 of them that is a hot button issue for them. The rest of the city, there's a lot of people live in Sparks, so we got 100,000 people in there. So we're doing the best we can. We'll always do that, and we won't shuck our responsibilities. We were elected to make decisions, and we'll make those decisions.
All right. Well, Ron, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Well, that is it for this episode of Face the State. But for more information or to see past episodes, you can just head to our website at ktvn.com. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you next week.